The Dáil was told that an amendment to legislation which allows owners of shotguns to hunt should not permit the shooting of hares. Independent TD Clare Daly said that the shooting of hares for sport posed a major threat to the species, according to Irish Wildlife Trust.
This amendment to the Wildlife Act 1976 has been made in order to extend the current hunting licence, which allows anyone with a shotgun licence to shoot wild birds and hares. But some TDs saw an anomaly in granting permission to shoot hares.
And we do have to see it in the context of the protection of this species and commentary made by the most foremost authority on this subject, the Irish Wildlife Trust. They have all of the relevant scientific data and expertise related to the status of the Irish hare population. And the Irish Wildlife Trust have said about the hare that they are an endemic subspecies to this island. In other words, they're found nowhere else in the world. They are saying that populations are thought to have undergone a substantial decline in the past 15 to 20 years. And they do cite in that report, the Irish Wildlife Trust, that one of the reasons why the hare is threatened is the unsustainable taking of hares for sporting purposes.
Fine Gael's Tom Barry said hunting was a natural pastime. And he said the provisions of the amendment were welcome, but he wondered if more information should be sought for the records about the person who is licensing a shotgun.
A comment possibly to the Minister is that it should now be looked at as well, maybe to include a photograph, a signature, and maybe some biometric data. I also welcome the security measures that have been put in place and the policing and advice from the Garda Síochána with regards to firearms in houses, because with the level of crime, it's certainly and holding weapons, it's important that measures be taken to make sure that legal firearms don't stray into the wrong hands. So gun safes and all that have been very welcome. As a person who shoots game and who uses that game and for obviously use it for our own use, shooting and game are part of the countryside and will remain. And I disagree fundamentally with people who feel that who say that we shouldn't be doing it at all.
Independent TD Maureen O'Sullivan told the Dáil that 2 presidents of Ireland had been against the coursing of hares.
In November 1975, during a Senate debate on the Wildlife Bill, President Michael D. Higgins, then a senator, tried to have the bill amended to have coursing declared illegal. And interestingly, it was also backed by another former president, Mary Robinson, then senator, and Noel Browne.
But the Ceann Comhairle intervened to remind the deputy that this bill was not about coursing.
I am obliged to inform you that you must stick to what's contained.
Yes, I'm talking about the animal and the hare.
We're not talking about coursing. Yeah. It's not a bill on coursing.
The minister said he had considered rescinding the right to shoot hares in this particular amendment, and he said he would consider it again when the more comprehensive animal health and welfare bill comes back to the Dáil.
And actually, I considered taking the hare out of this because very few people shoot hares, but it'll certainly be part of the review of the wildlife bill. But it was in the legislation, so if it's not something that's needed that much, I see no reason why in the future, when we are reviewing the Wildlife Act, that we can consider that very, very carefully.